Listen to me very carefully. There are people hearing this message right now who have cried in silence over money. You prayed, fasted, believed, but still the bills came faster than the blessings. You trusted God, yet it felt like heaven was quiet. But I came with a prophetic word for you today. God said, your financial struggle ends in 2026. Not because of luck, not because of man, but because your season has shifted. David Yonggi Cho once taught us that faith is seeing the invisible and believing the impossible. And right now, in the realm of the Spirit, God is already preparing what your eyes have not yet seen. Some of you survived years where your salary was not enough, where debts spoke louder than hope, where you smiled in public but panicked at night. Yet God says, I was training your faith, not punishing your life. 2026 is not just another year. It is a divine deadline. Heaven has set a time for your release. The same God who fed Elijah in famine, the same God who multiplied oil for the widow, the same God who made Joseph rich in one day, that God is still alive. But hear this clearly, God does not bless worry. He blesses faith mixed with obedience. If you can believe before you see, if you can thank Him while it's still empty, if you can speak abundance while you still lack, then God says, now I can trust you with wealth. Your struggle did not end you, it refined you. In 2026, God will not just give you money, He will give you wisdom, ideas, favor, and divine connections. What took others 10 years, God will do for you suddenly. Why? Because when God decides to bless, no bank, no econ, no enemy can stop it. I declare today, your debts will bow, your fear will leave, your income will increase, your mind will shift from survival to overflow. Say it by faith, my financial struggle ends in 2026. Faith is not a feeling you wait for, it is a decision you make. Every future you are walking toward is already being shaped by what you believe today. Many people say, when my situation changes, I will believe, but faith says, I believe, and therefore my situation must change. Think about daily life. A farmer does not wait to see crops before planting seeds. He plants while the land still looks empty. In the same way, faith plants words, actions, and expectations into today, trusting that tomorrow will respond. Look at a person who wakes up every morning discouraged by. Two people can face the same empty wallet, but their futures will be different because of faith. One says, this is my life, nothing will change. The other says, this is temporary, God is working even now. The second person walks differently, thinks differently, speaks differently, and because of that, opportunities begin to appear. Faith changes how you carry yourself into interviews, You speak to clients how you handle rejection. People can sense when someone believes their future is bigger than their present. Faith creates the future because it controls your words. Every day, people speak their tomorrows without realizing it. When someone constantly says, I can't, it's too hard, people like me never succeed, they are building a future that agrees with those words. Be. At faith dares to say, I don't see it yet, but it is coming. Think of a parent struggling to pay school fees, but still telling their child, study hard, God will make a way. That child grows up with hope, not fear, because faith spoke before provision appeared. Faith also creates the future through perseverance. In daily life, the person who believes does not quit early. A small business owner faces losses, slow sales, and criticism. Without faith, they quit and call it wisdom. With faith, they adjust, learn, and keep moving. Faith says, this setback is not a stop sign, it is a lesson. Over time, perseverance produces success, but it all started with faith that refused to accept defeat as final. Faith reshapes how you see problems. Two people face the same challenge. One sees a wall, the other sees a door. A student fails an exam. Without faith, they label themselves a failure. With faith, they say, "This result does not define my destiny." That belief pushes them to study harder, seek help, and try again. Faith does not deny reality, but it refuses to be limited by it. It looks at reality and says, "You are not permanent." Faith creates the future by attracting courage. In Vede decisions, faith gives you the boldness to take steps others are afraid to take. Applying for a job you feel unqualified for, starting a project with limited resources, speaking up when fear tells you to stay silent. These moments shape destiny. Many people admire success stories, but they forget that every success began with a step taken in faith when the outcome was uncertain. Faith also trains your mind to expect good, even after disappointment. A person who has been betrayed may say, "I will never trust again." Faith says, "I will trust wisely, but I will not close my heart." That belief opens the door for healthier relationships. A person who has failed financially may say, "Money always leaves me." Faith says, "I am learning stewardship and abundance will come." Expectations influence actions, and actions create outcomes. Faith creates the future because it aligns you with discipline. People often think faith is passive, but real faith is active. A person who believes they will be healthy starts choosing better food, walking daily, resting properly. A person who believes they will be financially stable starts budgeting, saving, and learning. Faith inspires habits that support the future you believe in. Without faith, discipline feels pointless. With faith, discipline feels purposeful. Faith also protects you from comparison. In daily life, social media shows others progressing faster, achieving more, earning more. Without faith, comparison produces envy and discouragement. With faith, you say, "The timing is not my timing." Faith keeps you focused on your own journey, allowing your future to unfold without pressure to copy someone else's path. Faith creates the future by keeping hope alive during waiting seasons. Waiting is part of everyday life, waiting for answers, results, healing, breakthroughs. Without faith, waiting feels like punishment. With faith, waiting feels like preparation. A person waiting for promotion continues to work with Excel. A person waiting for marriage continues to grow emotionally. Faith uses the waiting room to prepare you for the next room. Faith ultimately creates the future because it invites God into ordinary moments. When you pray before work, when you thank God for small income, when you trust Him with daily decisions, you are allowing divine influence into human effort. The future is not built in one dramatic miracle, but in thousands of small, faith-filled choices made every day. When faith becomes your lifestyle, tomorrow has no choice but to change. Many people mistake delay for rejection, but heaven does not work on human clocks. Delay is not God saying no, it is God saying not yet. In daily life, we understand this principle more than we realize. A child asks to drive a car at the age of 10. A loving parent does not say no because they hate the child. They say wait because the child is not ready. In the same way, when God delays a blessing, it is not because He has forgotten you, but because He is protecting you from receiving something before you are prepared to handle it. Think about waiting for a job opportunity. You send applications, attend interviews, and nothing happens. Silence follows effort, and disappointment creeps in. But delay is not denial. During that waiting period, you are learning patience, improving your skills, and developing resilience. If the job had come earlier, you might not have had the confidence or maturity to sustain it. delay strengthens what will later sustain your success. In everyday relationships, delay teaches emotional growth. Someone prays for marriage, but year after year they remain single. It feels unfair, especially when others around them move ahead. But delay is not denial. In the waiting season, God is shaping character, healing wounds, and teaching discernment. Rushing into the wrong relationship would cost more than waiting for the right one. Delay saves you from future pain that you cannot yet see. Financial delay. Why carries the same wisdom? Many people cry out for money, but God delays because money magnifies who you already are. If discipline is missing, money will disappear quickly. If pride is present, money will destroy relationships. Delay gives time to learn stewardship, humility, and wisdom. Think of someone who struggles with income, but learns to manage little faithfully. When increase finally comes, it stays. Delay trains you for permanence, not just arrival. In daily life, cooking teaches us this truth. Some foods cannot be rushed. If you turn the fire too high, the outside burns while the inside remains raw. Delay allows proper transformation. In the same way, God's delay ensures you are fully ready, not just outwardly successful. What looks like slowness is actually careful preparation. Delay also teaches trust. When results don't come immediately, faith is tested. A student studies hard, but still fails once. A business owner invests, but sees no profit initially. Delay is not denial. It teaches you to trust the process instead of chasing shortcuts. Those who succeed long-term are those who stayed faithful when progress was invisible. Delay sharpens vision. When something takes time, you begin to understand why you want it. Many desires fade during waiting, but true purpose remains. A person waiting to start a ministry or career realizes their motives. Is it for approval or is it for impact? Delay removes shallow desires and strengthens deep calling. What survives delay is worth having. In daily struggles, delay builds endurance. A person praying for healing may not see instant results. But in the delay, compassion grows, empathy deepens, and strength develops. That person becomes someone who can encourage others walking the same path. Delay turns pain into purpose. What feels like wasted time becomes a testimony later. Delay also protects timing. Opportunities that come too early can destroy destiny. Imagine being promoted without experience. The pressure overwhelms you. The criticism crushes you. God delays to align opportunity with capacity. When the blessing finally arrives, you can carry it without breaking. In everyday training, athletes understand this well. Muscles grow during rest, not just effort. Pushing constantly without recovery leads to injury. Delay allows growth beneath the surface. You may not see progress, but strength is forming internally. Spiritual growth works the same way. God works deeply while you wait quietly. Delay refines obedience. When blessings are delayed, obedience becomes a choice, not a transaction. You serve, give, work, and believe without immediate reward. That kind of faith is powerful. It proves you are committed to God, not just His gifts. This level of faith attracts lasting blessings. Delay also filters people. During waiting season, some relationships fall away. Support disappears. You feel alone. But delay is not denial, it is separation. God removes distractions and wrong connections so that when the blessing comes, it will not be stolen, polluted, or destroyed by the wrong voices. In daily routines, seeds remind us of this truth. After planting, the ground looks unchanged. Days pass, and nothing seems to happen. But beneath the soil, roots are forming. If you dig too early, you destroy the process. Delay allows hidden growth to become visible at the right time. God's timing works the same way. What you cannot see is not absent, it is developing. Delay prepares your mindset. Without waiting, gratitude remains shallow. When something takes time, appreciation becomes deeper. The longer the wait, the stronger the value. Delay teaches you to honor what you prayed for. When it finally comes, you protect it, respect it, and steward it well. Delay is not a sign of abandonment. It is a sign of intentional design. God's delays are deliberate, purposeful, and filled with wisdom. What feels slow is actually precise. What feels silent is actually active. What feels unfair is actual. My merciful. Delay is shaping a future strong enough to last. There are moments in life when time is no longer ordinary, when a year becomes more than just numbers on a calendar. Some years pass quietly, but others arrive carrying divine intention. 2026 is not just another season you will survive, it is a turning point designed by God. A turning point is when the road bends and what was behind you can no longer follow you forward. Many people have been living in cycles of struggle, but cycles end when God decides to intervene. In daily life, we understand turning points clearly. A single phone call can change a career. One medical report can shift priorities. One meeting can open doors that years of effort could not. In the same way, God uses appointed times to shift destinies. 2026 represents a moment where preparation meets opportunity, where long prayers meet divine action. Think about someone who has been working faithfully with little recognition. Years of effort, little reward. Discouragement whispers that nothing will change. But turning points often come after endurance, not at the beginning. A promotion arrives when least expected. A new opportunity appears suddenly. That shift does not erase the past, but it redeems it. What felt wasted becomes training for what is coming. In family life, turning points appear quietly. A strained relationship slowly heals through patience. A parent who once struggled to provide now finds stability. A home once filled with tension becomes a place of peace. These shifts do not always happen overnight, but they happen when hearts IGN with God's timing. 2026 is marked as a season where alignment produces visible change. Financially, many people have lived in survival mode. Paycheck to paycheck, constant worry, endless calculations. A divine turning point does not just bring money, it brings wisdom, discipline, and favor. Think of a person who learns to manage small income faithfully. When increase comes, it multiplies instead of disappearing. Turning points change not just circumstances, but capacity. Spiritually, turning points redefine faith. Faith moves from desperation to confidence. Prayers change from begging to thanking. A person who once prayed out of fear begins to pray with authority. Daily life reflects this shift. Stress reduces. Decisions become clearer. Peace replaces anxiety. When God shifts a seesaw, inner change precedes outward blessing. In work life, turning points often arrive after seasons of rejection, applications ignored, ideas dismissed, talents overlooked. But divine timing brings recognition at the right moment. A skill developed in obscurity becomes valuable suddenly. People begin to see what was always there. The turning point does not create talent, it reveals it. Health Joe. Rinnies also experience turning points. Someone struggling physically learns new habits, builds discipline, and regains strength gradually. Healing does not always come dramatically, sometimes it comes through consistency. 2026 marks a season where effort meets restoration, where small steps produce lasting change. Emotionally, turning points heal old wounds. Pain that once controlled reactions lost its power. Forgiveness becomes possible. Hope returns. A person who once lived guarded begins to live freely. These inner shifts change relationships, choices, and confidence. Emotional healing is often the foundation for external breakthrough. In daily routines, turning points are reflected in discipline. Waking up earlier, choosing better habits, managing time wisely. These simple changes compound over time. God often uses ordinary obedience to produce extraordinary outcomes. 2026 is a year where consistency will produce visible fruit. Turning points also involve separation. Some connections end, not out of loss, but out of necessity. God removes distractions that hinder growth. This can feel painful, but it is purposeful. Letting go creates space for better alignment. Relationships that cannot go where God is taking you must remain behind. In faith, turning points strengthen confidence. Doubt fades as evidence accumulates. Past testimonies fuel future belief. You begin to recognize God's patterns, understanding that delays were preparation, not punishment. This awareness changes how you face challenges. Daily life teaches us that turning points require response. A door may open, but someone must walk through it. A season may shift, but obedience must follow. God provides opportunities, but responsibility activates them. 2026 invites participation, not passivity. Turning points also bring accountability. Increased blessing requires increased stewardship. God entrusts more to those who have proven faithful. This is not pressure, it is privilege. Responsibility become a sign of growth, not burden. In personal identity, turning points redefine self-perception. You stop seeing yourself as a survivor and begin seeing yourself as a builder. Your language changes, your expectations rise, and your goals expand. This internal shift signals readiness for external increase. A divine turning point does not erase challenges, but it changes how you overcome them. Probal. EMS no longer intimidate, they inform. Obstacles no longer stop progress, they redirect it. Wisdom replaces panic. In everyday life, seasons change naturally. Winter prepares the ground for spring. 2026 represents a spiritual spring, where seeds planted in past seasons begin to break through. Growth becomes visible. Effort produces reward. Turning points are rarely loud at first. They begin quiet, with a decision, a habit, a shift in thinking. But once momentum builds, change becomes undeniable. God specializes in gradual preparation followed by sudden breakthrough. A divine turning point is not accidental, it is appointed. When God marks a season, nothing can cancel it. Preparation positions you to recognize it. Obedience allows you to step into it, and faith sustains you through it. Fear speaks first, but faith must speak louder. Every day people stand at crossroads where one voice says, "What if it fails?" And another says, "What if God is in this?" God does not respond to panic, he responds to belief. Fear freezes movement, but faith activates heaven. In daily life, you can see this difference clearly. Two people face the same uncertain situation. One withdraws, hesitates, and waits for perfect conditions. The other moves forward with trust, even while afraid. God blesses the step taken in faith, not the retreat made in fear. Fear magnifies problems, faith magnifies God. When bills pile up, fear says, "You will never catch up." Faith says, "This is not the end of my story." The person who listens to fear stops giving, stops planning, stops hoping. The person who chooses faith continues to manage wisely, continues to pray, continues to believe. That posture invites divine intervention. God works where trust is present. In work life, fear often disguises itself as caution. A person avoids applying for a better job because they fear rejection. Another refuses to start a business because they fear loss. Fear keeps people stuck in comfort zones that slowly become prisons. Faith does not deny risk, but it trusts God beyond it. Faith says, I may not know the outcome, but I know who holds it. God blesses that mindset. Fear also controls speech. People speak what they fear most. I'm not good enough. Nothing ever works for me. I always lose. These words shape reality. Faith changes language. Faith says, I am learning, I am growing. God is greedy. Me. When speech aligns with faith, perspective changes. Opportunities are noticed instead of missed. In relationships, fear builds walls. A person who has been hurt closes their heart to avoid pain. Fear says, protect yourself at all costs. Faith says, trust God, not people. Faith allows healthy boundaries without shutting down love. When God sees faith operating in relationships, He brings restoration and connection. Fear causes people to rush or retreat. Faith allows patience. A person afraid of being alone rushes into the wrong relationship. A person afraid of failure quits too soon. Fear produces regret. Faith produces wisdom. Waiting in faith positions you for what is right, not just what is available. Financially, fear leads to poor decisions. Fear hoards, fear panics, fear spends impulsively. Faith plans, saves, gives, and trusts. A person acting in fear sees money as security. A person acting in faith sees God as security. That difference determines whether money controls you or serves you. In health, fear exaggerates symptoms. Faith does not ignore reality, but it refuses to be dominated by it. A person who chooses faith adopts healthier habits, seeks help, and remains hopeful. Stress decreases. Clarity increases. Faith creates space for healing. Fear also resists change. It prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar possibility. Many people stay in toxic environments because fear whispers, at least this is known. Faith says, God has better. Faith steps into growth, even when uncomfortable. God blesses obedience that requires courage in daily decisions. Fear asks, what if I fail? Faith asks, what if this is the door God opened? Fear imagines worst-case scenarios. Faith anticipates God's involvement. The difference between stagnation and progress is often one faith-filled decision. Fear spreads quickly. One negative report can dominate thoughts for days. Faith requires discipline. Faith must be fed through prayer, gratitude, and truth. What you feed grows. When faith grows, fear loses influence. God responds to a heart anchored in trust. Fear keeps you focused on what you lack. Faith focuses on what God can supply. A person driven by fear complains constantly. A person driven by faith gives thanks even before results appear. Gratitude is evidence of faith. God blesses thankful hearts. Fear distorts identity. It convinces people that I are weak, incapable, and unworthy. Faith restores identity. Faith says, I am called, I am chosen, I am equipped. When you see yourself as God sees you, confidence rises naturally. In daily life, storms reveal foundation. Fear collapses under pressure. Faith stands firm. When challenges arise, the person rooted in faith responds with calm. Calm invites wisdom. Wisdom invites solutions. God blesses faith because faith creates room for Him to work. Fear demands control. Faith surrenders control. Fear wants guarantees. Faith trusts promises. God does not move in environments dominated by fear because fear leaves no room for trust. Faith opens the door to divine action. Fear asks for signs before believing. Faith believes before seeing. Every miracle recorded in life begins with Samo. Need choosing faith over fear. God blesses that choice again and again. Fear shrinks vision. Faith expands it. Fear says, stay small. Faith says, think bigger. When vision grows, actions follow. God partners with faith because faith reflects trust in His character, not confidence in circumstances. Fear keeps you silent. Faith gives you voice. Speaking hope in difficult moments is an act of faith. God honors those words. Fear is loud, but it is temporary. Faith is quiet, but it is powerful. Where faith leads, blessing follows. Many people overlook small beginnings because they are searching for big signs, but God often hides breakthroughs inside what looks insignificant. A seed is small, almost forgettable, yet it carries forests within it. In daily life, we understand this principle clearly, but emotionally we struggle to trust it. We want instant results, immediate change, visible proof. God works differently. He starts with what you already have, not what you wish you had. Think about a person who starts saving a small amount of money each month. It feels useless at first. The amount looks too small to matter. But month after month, consistency turns small deposits into saint ability. Breakthrough does not come from one massive action, but from honoring small steps over time. God blesses what you faithfully place in His hands, no matter how small it looks. In work life, a small opportunity can become a major turning point. Someone accepts a low-paying job, not realizing it will teach them skills, discipline, and connections. Years later, that small role becomes the foundation of leadership and success. Many miss their breakthrough because they despise the seed stage. God never wastes beginnings. Every small assignment carries preparation. In relationships, small acts create deep impact. A daily habit of listening, kindness, or patience transforms marriages and friendships. Big gestures are remembered, but small, consistent actions build trust. God uses these quiet seeds to restore what once seemed broken. Breakthrough in relationships often comes from ordinary obedience practiced daily. In faith, prayer is a seed. A short prayer whispered in exhaustion may feel weak, but God hears it. A simple prayer repeated daily builds spiritual strength. Many miracles begin with a prayer that did not feel powerful at the time. Faith grows through repetition, not doctor. In health, small choices change lives. Choosing water instead of soda, walking 10 minutes a day, sleeping earlier. These decisions feel too small to matter, but over time they restore energy, confidence, and strength. God honors stewardship of the body. Healing often begins with small, disciplined choices, not instant transformation. In learning, reading a few pages daily leads to wisdom. Knowledge compounds. Someone who commits to small daily improvement becomes skilled over time. God uses learning as a seed to unlock future opportunities. Ignoring growth because it feels slow delays breakthrough. In finances, generosity is a seed. Giving when resources are limited feels illogical. Fear says you don't have enough. Faith says God multiplies. A small gift given in faith releases a harvest. God looks at the heart, not the amount. Breakthrough flows from obedience, not excess. In emotional healing, forgiveness starts small, releasing bitterness gradually. Choosing peace daily, refusing to replay pain. These actions feel insignificant, but over time they free the heart. Emotional breakthroughs often begin with a decision repeated daily. In purpose, talents begin small. A gift expressed in private grows in public. Many successful people started practicing unnoticed. God develops character before exposure. Small stages protect you while preparing you. In leadership, influence grows slowly. Trust is earned through consistency. A leader who shows up daily builds credibility. Breakthrough leadership is born from small, faithful actions repeated over time. In faith journeys, obedience begins with small steps. Trusting God with one decision builds confidence for large ones. Faith exercise grows stronger. God uses obedience as a seed for miracles. In daily routines, habits are seeds. Waking up earlier, organizing time, managing priorities, these choices shape destiny. Small habits build big lives. God partners with discipline. In adversity, endurance is a seed. Staying faithful during hardship feels unrewarded, but perseverance develops strength. Breakthrough. H comes after endurance matures. In creativity, ideas start small. Writing one page, practicing one skill, creating one piece, momentum builds. God uses creativity as a vessel for purpose. In family, teaching values daily shapes generations. Children absorb consistency. Small lessons repeated become lifelong principles. In ministry or service, helping one person matters. Impact multiplies. God measures faithfulness, not scale. In spiritual growth, reading scripture daily plants truth. Understanding deepens. Revelation builds slowly. Breakthrough knowledge emerges from consistent intake. In confidence, self-belief grows gradually. Speaking positively, rejecting negative self-talk, these seeds renew the mind. God restores identity through repetition. In patience, waiting refines character. Each day of faith strengthens endurance. Breakthrough timing aligns with readiness. In calling, preparation happens quietly. God works behind the scenes. Small steps build capacity. In recovery, healing is gradual. Progress may feel invisible. Trust grows. Breakthrough arrives when growth matures. God chooses small seeds because they require trust. Big beginnings attract pride. Small beginning. NGS cultivate dependence. What you honor grows. What you ignore remains dormant. When you water small seeds with faith, consistency, and obedience, God turns them into breakthroughs far greater than you imagined. Money does not change people, it reveals them. Long before finances shift, the mind must be transformed. Many people pray for increase while thinking in scarcity, and that contradiction delays breakthrough. If money arrives before the mindset changes, it will leave just as quickly. Daily life proves this truth again and again. Two people can earn the same amount, yet one builds stability while the other stays stuck. The difference is not income, it is thinking. A scarcity mindset says there is never enough. An abundance mindset says there is always a way. When a person believes resources are limited, they make decisions driven by fear. They panic when expenses rise. They avoid learning and they resist giving. But when the mindset shifts, choices shift. A person who believes growth is possible starts planning, saving, and investing wisely. Money follows clarity. Think about daily spending habits. Someone with a broken mindset spends impulsively to feel better emotionally. Another person with a renewed mindset pauses, evaluates, and chooses wisely. The money is the same, but the outcome is different. Mindset controls behavior, and behavior controls results. God does not pour increase into chaos. Order must come first. In work life, mindset determines income potential. A person who sees themselves as limited settles for less, avoids growth, and fears negotiation. A person who believes they have value seeks development, asks for opportunities, and improves skills. Income increases naturally because mindset opened the door. In daily conversations, mindset reveals itself. Saying I'm bad with money programs the mind for failure. Saying I'm learning to manage money programs growth. Words shape identity. Identity shapes actions. Actions shape financial outcomes. Fear-based thinking blocks increase. Fear says, if I try, I might fail. Growth-minded thinking says, if I don't try, I stay stuck. Many people remain in financial struggle, not because of lack of opportunity, but because of fear-driven thinking. Changing the way you see risk changes the way you experience reward. Mindset also affects generosity. A closed mindset hoards because it believes giving reduces security. A renewed mindset understands that generosity flows from trust, not excess. When a person gives from faith, they align with divine principles. Money begins to flow differently when trust replaces fear. In daily learning, mindset determines progress. Someone who believes they cannot learn avoids financial education. Someone who believes improvement is possible asks questions and grows. Knowledge increases confidence. Confidence increases action. Action produces results. Debt exposes mindset. Some see debt as normal and permanent. Others see it as temporary and manageable. The difference is belief. Those who believe freedom is possible take steps toward it. They budget, reduce expenses, and plan. Their mindset creates momentum. Mindset influences. Patience. Impatient thinking seeks quick money and shortcuts. Wise thinking values sustainability. Many lose money chasing fast gains because their mindset prioritizes speed over stability. God favors stewardship over shortcuts. In daily routines, mindset shapes discipline. A person who believes their future matters wakes up earlier, manages time, and tracks expenses. A person who believes nothing will change avoids responsibility. Discipline flows naturally from belief. Comparison also reflects mindset. Comparing income with others breeds dissatisfaction. A renewed mindset focuses on growth, not comparison. Gratitude increases contentment, and contentment improves decision-making. Mindset shapes identity. Seeing yourself as poor keeps you poor. Seeing yourself as capable creates growth. Identity precedes possession. God often changes identity before changing circumstances. In setbacks, mindset determines recovery. A loss can become a lesson or a label. Those who label themselves failures stay stuck. Those who treat failure as education move forward stronger. Resilience attracts opportunity. Mindset also affects vision. Without vision, money has no direction. A renewed mindset sets goals, plans ahead, and thinks long-term. Vision organizes resources. In daily faith, mindset influences trust. Trusting God with finances requires mental surrender. Control-based thinking blocks divine involvement. Faith-based thinking invites guidance. Mindset transforms habits. Saving becomes purposeful. Spending becomes intentional. Giving becomes joyful. These habits compound over time. In relationships, mindset affects financial harmony. Couples with aligned thinking communicate, plan, and grow together. Misaligned thinking creates conflict. Unity strengthens stability. Mindset determines adaptability. Those willing to learn adapt to change and increase income. Those resistant remain stagnant. In opportunity recognition, mindset filters perception. A limited mind sees obstacles. A renewed mind sees possibilities. Opportunities often appear disguised as challenges. Mindset affects emotional response to money. Anxiety decreases when clarity increases. Peace follows order. Mindset shapes legacy. Those who think beyond themselves plan for the future. They build generational stability. Before money increases, thinking must mature. God changes the inner world before adjusting the outer one. Transformation begins in the mind, and prosperity follows alignment. There comes a moment when everything you have heard must move from your ears into your spirit, because information alone does not change lives. Revelation does. What you believe after this message will decide what you live next. You may walk away from this moment and return to the same house, the same job, same bank balance, but you must not return with the same mindset. Because when the mind shifts, destiny begins to move. As it has often been said, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your thinking. Tonight, your thinking has been challenged so your future can be transformed. Remember this truth: where the mind goes, the man follows. God never starts with your wallet. He starts with your heart and your mind. Before he increases what is in your hands, he expands what is in your vision. That is why this moment matters. This is not just inspiration. This is alignment. And alignment always precedes acceleration. Do not let fear talk you out of what faith has just talked you into. Fear will whisper, nothing will change. Faith will declare, this is the turning point. And you must decide which voice you will obey. As the saying goes, everything you want is on the other side of fear. God has never blessed fear, hesitation, or doubt. He blesses obedience, trust, and bold belief. Carry this truth with you. Small steps taken consistently will take you further than giant steps taken occasionally. Do not despise the seed in your hand. Do not underestimate the discipline you are building. Do not question the process that is shaping you. What feels slow is not wasted. It is strengthening you for what is coming. God is not preparing the blessing for you. He is preparing you for the blessing. When doubt rises, remember this powerful line: if God brought you to it, he will bring you through it. The struggle you survived did not disqualify you, it qualified you. The delay you endured did not weaken you, it matured you. And the pressure you felt did not crush you, it revealed the strength God placed inside you all along. Let this be the season where you stop saying, one day, and start saying now. Because someday is not a day of the week. Action fueled by faith changes everything. Speak differently, think differently, walk differently, expect differently. Heaven responds when belief becomes visible. When circumstances try to intimidate you, stand firm in this declaration: I may not have everything I want yet, but I have everything I need to get there. God is late. God is not confused. God is not limited by economies, reports, or opinions. What he has promised, he is powerful enough to perform. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not unlucky. You are in transition. And transition always feels uncomfortable right before transformation. As it is wisely said, the same God who starts a good work is faithful to finish it. What he started in your life, he will complete in his perfect time. So rise with confidence. Move forward with faith. Protect your mindset. Honor the process. Stay consistent. Stay humble. Stay obedient. Because the future you have been praying for is responding to the faith you are living in today. And when God decides to change a story, no force on earth can rewrite it.